Welcome. Today we shall discuss the topic site preparation. You know that a building is one of the most needs of every human existence. If you have a cloth, you don't have where to stay or where to live after your job, you are stranded. So before any building is erected, there are different preparations, different things that have to go into place before we have a building site or a building is constructed. So we want to look at different processes, different endeavors, different things that go into place before a building is sited or erected in a particular location. By the end of this topic, I expect you to be able to define site preparation, name and state the uses of hand tools for site preparation, and I also need you to be able to list or state the uses and the names of some mechanical plants we use for site preparations, and describe the techniques for site preparation. It's important we look at this. Okay. What is site preparation? What exactly is site preparation? Site preparation is the act of modifying the surface of a piece of land to make it suitable for constructing a building. Okay, so like I said earlier, there are different things we do on the surface of a land before we can start erecting our buildings. You don't just, you have the money after the architect has finished drawing your building. Don't just go and start setting out on the land. There are certain things you have to do to the land. The different acts that will modify the surface of the piece of land that will make it suitable for the construction of the building, that is what we call site preparation. We prepare the site before we erect the building. Okay, there are different processes involved in site preparation. Let's say you've met with your architect and you have the building plan, you have the blueprint of your building, all right, and you just called a civil engineer to come erect your building. So the moment they arrive at the site, there are certain things they must do on the site before we start erecting the building. Number one is that they will have to examine the site to identify the features of the site. These features is to say, what kind of place is that? Is this place a marshy place? Is it a rocky ground? Is this a reclaimed soil? Is it a tropical rainforest? You just have to look around the site to see the number of trees you have to fell. What kind of things are you going to do in that site to make it where you can begin your work? All right. Now, secondly, you move site preparation equipment and tools to the site. All right, you move them to the site. You have your equipment and tools, they are moved to the site. These are different things that are done to the site. Then number three, site clearing and removal of vegetable soils where necessary. If there are areas you need to use cutlass to cut grasses, you need to use the axe to cut down the trees, you need to use the chainsaw to cut down big trees. It starts in earnest. You start clearing where you need to level or do a stumping. You start it all over. All right, then after you're done clearing, all right, and removing the vegetable soil, next is the grubbling out roots. You have to start removing roots. You have to start pulling out roots. let's say you cut a tree, using your power saw. Next thing is to remove the roots, because you can't have your building erected where you still have stumps. Then next is leveling of the site. This one, depending on the size of the site, depending on the kind of building you want to actually erect on the site, will determine the kind of things you do. Will you need a mechanical tool for this, or will you just require just a spade to level, at that instant, depending on the soil topography, depending on the kind of site that you find yourself. All right, then next is to exterminate termite sites, to remove every termite site, because if you don't, termites will eventually come to degrade your wood and cost you a lot of expenses. It's going to cost a lot if you have your building materials eaten up by termites in the long run. So these are different processes that are involved in site preparation. All right, so all of this will happen if you want to prepare your site for building. Okay, now there are different hand tools that will require for site preparation. Number one here is a power saw. This one is prevalent, is common. It's common. Anytime you want, you see a new site coming up, because in this site we might have trees that are grown. I don't mean shrubs or grasses. If we have grasses there, we use cutlass to clear them. All right. But when you have trees, like you have palm trees, you have the ibin trees, you have some ireko trees there in the site you want to actually erect your building, you need the power saw to cut down the trees, because you'll not be able to use cutlass to do that. So that's basically what we use this power saw to do. Of course, it's powered, it's petrol powered. All right. It has the ability to cut down trees with this chainsaw. I know you must have seen this particular tool. We also have hoes and cutlasses. These are the things we use. We use the cutlasses to clear the grasses where necessary. We use it to clear grasses and remove some shrubs, in the site. We use the hoe to remove some, in case you need to dig out little shrubs, you need to dig out little things from the site, or you need to just remove a surface of the soil, right? Just need to level some places. The hoe can be used for such purpose. So we are talking about different tools, hand tools that we use for site preparation. We've mentioned the power saw, we've mentioned the cutlass, which are used for clearing grasses from the site, right? Yes. Okay, we've mentioned hoes, which basically we can use to dig, depending on the surface of the ground. If you have a very soft surface, a good textured soil, hoes can be used for such purposes. Okay, then we also have an axe. An axe here is used for cutting bigger branches. Normally, that's what we use the axe for. We also have another tool, apart from axe, that we call the rakes. After cutting the grasses, after you're done cutting the grasses, you need these rakes to gather together rubbles, to gather what you've removed, what you've cleared, some leaves like that. You need the rakes to gather them. So basically that is what the rake is used for, to gather different materials together. In some cases you can burn them, in some cases you can trash them. All right, so we have the auger here, or the pickaxe. The auger basically is used to dig holes, especially when you have the land very hard, that ordinary shovel cannot be used to excavate the soil. You can use the pickaxe to remove the soil, then you can use shovel to scoop out the sand in the process. Okay, so we also have the shovel here. Basically the shovel here is used for removing the soil. That depends on the nature of the soil. if the soil is hardened that the ordinary hand shovel cannot penetrate, then we will employ the services of some mechanical tools to do that. In terms of excavation, maybe you want to start setting out, you need your shovels, you need to level some lands. The shovel will do that particular job for us. Okay. Then there are also other mechanical tools that we'll use for site preparation. You know, we are not only limited to maybe just a single bungalow or a single duplex site. There are cases you may have an estate as your site. It will be very cumbersome, it will be very burdensome on the laborers to clear acres of land manually. So we can employ some mechanical tools to clear the site, all right, or to prepare the site for building construction. So one of those machines or equipment that we require for that is a bulldozer. Normally the bulldozer is used to remove the surface of the land. It bulldozes the surface of the land, carries, let's say we have rubbles, maybe a part of that land has concrete. You know that some cases, we might even have cases where you have to bring down a building and erect a new one in some sites. So in such a case, we'll need a bulldozer to carry out those rubbles, to carry them away from the site, all right? So basically, that's what the bulldozer is used for. We also have the power shovel or the excavator. Please take note, the power shovel or the excavator. Just as the name power shovel, it is used to dig trenches where necessary, where you need to excavate large land deep into the land. The power shovel will do that. In some sites, we need them to prepare the site for building construction. After the excavator, after the bulldozer had bulldozed, remove the surface of the land, then we need the land to have a leveling. We need to level the land so that we can set out. We can set out whatever we have in the blueprint on the site. Okay, so we require this machine, a grader, to level the land where the building is to be sited. So basically the work of the grader is to level the site before setting out can take place. I believe you understand what we are saying. Okay, at this point we want to look at the ExamGuide app to see different questions that come from site preparation. I need you to stay back as we do that. Remember that ExamGuide app is an app for every student. This is the app I recommend strongly for you to prepare for your basic examination. I bet you if you use this app for your preparation, you're going to make good grades. Okay, so let's go to the app to see different years and how these questions are asked and attempted. Okay, in 2013, the removal of top vegetable soil on site is referred to as A. Clearing, B. Digging, C. Dredging, D. Excavation, E. Trenching. Of course, clearing is done using a cutlass. We dig using the pickaxe or sometimes the power shovel, depending on what we want to do. Dredging here has nothing to do with our site for now. Then trenching, no, we're not making trenches. If we want to make trenches, we can use the power shovel for that. Then that process is called excavation. The removal of the vegetable topsoil or the top vegetable soil on the site is called excavation. To remove the soil is called to excavate the soil. That's the term used for that. So the right answer here is excavation. Let's see. Okay. The following are site clearing tools, except which of these tools do we use for site clearing? A. Ask. B. Hoe. C. Rake. D. Shovel. E. Trowel. I did not mention to you that we use trowel as a site clearing tool, but I mentioned to you that we need the axe to cut down trees or to cut down some branches of the tree. We need hoe to remove the earth where necessary, where it can be useful. We use the rake to gather the grasses cut by using the cutlass. We need a shovel to excavate where it can also be used for such purpose, but the trowel is not used for site preparation. It can be used for plastering and other things in the building. Okay, so the trowel there is the right option for that. Thank you. Please, and I urge you to please use this app. Prepare more. There are so many questions on the app. Thank you. See you.